Yo, Kennyatta, my man, what
Hey,
up?
we
How
on the
are you,
money.
bro?
We on the money.
Yo, we got it right now. I'm here with my man Kennyatta Collins. You might know him from Web3. You might know him from Brooklyn.
Hey,
I know him from doing some work with my homie. Let's get to know him,
hey,
bro. How are you?
man, I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing good. It's been a crazy start to the year. I can't even hold you. It's
Bro,
been a
what
crazy
what
ass start to
projects
the
you been
year.
on? Tell us about it.
Man. So I work with a startup called ShopX Labs, and so basically what we do is we handle all the token gating for brands. So let's say you have a brand, and you're like, "Yo, I wanna get into this Web3 thing. I want to make sure that I can give limited access to certain things. I want to be able to earn some crypto. I want to be able to get in NFTs, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't want to build all that stuff myself. We go ahead and we take care of that for you. So that's one aspect.
That's
It,
crazy. That's a burgeoning business right now.
yeah, man, that business has been good, yo. Some of our clients so far has been Fox. We closed the Mag Park out in Cali. We just
Okay.
did another joint with Sneakerheads in collaboration with Mag Park. And we're gonna be working with a couple big companies. I can't, really put that
Okay.
out, but you know, I just want to say there's a couple famous people who have worked at these companies that you will recognize, from
Very polarizing figures. Nothing but illustrious
listen,
partnerships. I feel you.
you feel me? You can't really name drop or nothing like that. I'm just saying like rings, tight ropes, entry music, but we're not name dropping nobody.
Yeah,
You
no,
feel
I
me?
feel you. I feel you. I feel you. Don't go too far. Don't go too far. Just give them a little taste. We're gonna let them see when they drop it. And be like, oh, that's
Facts.
what Kenyatta was talking about.
Yeah, be like, damn, I
Okay.
know that. Oh, like, yeah.
Oh, that's what he meant when he said, oh, okay.
Facts,
I get
facts.
it. I got it. Okay, so that's been a big thing. I saw you recently dropped your like a big NFT collection that you were part of. You know that
Oh
you
yeah,
guys were
man.
killing it. I saw that for sure in the
It was
stories.
it was dope. I'm a part of a really dope team called the Lotus, right? And the main founder, his name is Bunjul. He's an artist based out in Australia. The
Okay.
guy is, I mean, brilliant, crazy brilliant. And so they originally released a collection called the Lotus Gang. It's a PFP collection, 50% women, 50% men represented in the collection. And one of the biggest selling points was that from his designs, he was able to showcase pixel art on a very high quality level. And then past that, he was also able to have different cultures around the world represented in the way that he designed some of these PFPs. And so they came out and brought me on board to head up the research division for their library. It's a project that we're building within the collection where we're looking to almost like the Library of Alexandria, bring in all the most impactful Web3 information that's been, created by different people within the space,
Yeah.
and then house it under one giant umbrella so that anybody who's interested in Web3 at all can just come in and have resources right then and there in a really interactive and exciting way. It's really fire. It's really fire. The
That,
collection sold out in, if I'm not mistaken, less than 2 hours. Um, the volume has been absolutely insane. And right now, we're one of the most talked about projects on Solana, which is exciting because Solana is, in a really unique position to be that entry point for a lot of people to get into Web3.
no, most definitely. I like even personally. I was like, okay, so I'm going over here. I'm buying this from this exchange, or my friends are like, hey, you need to buy crypto here to buy this NFT that's gonna drop. And then one of my friends dropped a collection. He's like, hey, my cartoon's coming out. It's all based on Sol. It's all based on Solana. So literally, you go to the website, you buy the money, and then you buy the buy the project. I was like, oh, okay, cool,
Facts,
perfect. So like, it really
facts.
simplified everything. So I could see that really being like, hey, you don't want to deal with these different exchanges. We're all getting on this currency, and I get it. It makes sense.
Yo, bro, I'll tell you this right now. I tell people all the time, especially after you saw what happened with FTX, it's like a lot of the habits that we have just as people when it comes to responsibilities financially is we like to put it off onto other people, right? So it's like I want my money to be dealt with by somebody else who knows money. I don't really want to deal with X, Y, and Z. The challenge is in crypto, you have a different mentality. It's like, yo, if you're not holding your dough, if you're not holding your NFTs, you're not holding your stuff, it's not yours, right? Like just leaving things on exchanges puts you in a vulnerable capacity where the exchange defaults, it crashes, et cetera, et cetera. You don't get your shit back, right? We saw that happen with FTX. We saw it happen with, if I'm not mistaken, with Celsius. We're watching it happen with Gemini, all these different places. So I tell people, buy your crypto wherever you get your crypto from, but then hold it in your wallet. You know what I'm saying? Get a ledger wallet, a hardware wallet, like something physical that stores, you know what I'm saying, all your stuff. So
Something off the blockchain, more secured. That's
so
on but off.
it's yeah, right? Like it's on, right? But it's not in someone else's custody. It's in
It's
your
in yours.
custody. 100%. That's like you having $1,000 right now and you telling your homie like, yo, hold this for me. It's
Yo,
like, damn, you don't know what's gonna happen to your homie past this. Not saying he's a thief, but it's like, yo, what if he get robbed? What if he get jumped? What if he get whatever? Like,
hey man,
you
I
know what I
had
mean?
some. Let's just say due to like state legalization reasons, I was like, I had some tickets that represent some winners in another neighboring state for some friends. And the whole way back, I was just like, man, what if the car catch on fire? What if this happens to me, man? Like, this was his ticket. He sent me the money. I got the ticket. Now I'm like, hey, man, I want you to have this in your hands. You hold it. You could go pick it up, cash out whenever. You catch on fire, that's cool, but it's not on me. And people are, it seems like that principle, it's probably something we both learned at a young age about taking responsibility for things, but a great portion of the community was like, oh, well, we'll leave it over to this Sam Bankman-Fried guy. He's got it. He's figuring it out.
They put his company on an arena out in Miami. It's probably legit.
It's legit.
Yeah.
Bro. So, like I said, that probably comes from a mindset. Let's get back to where that mindset started. Where are you from, bro? Big family, small city?
Yo, Brooklyn, crazy big family. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
My family's West Indian, Trinidadian, Guyanese. So, it's real close knit. And I think one of the biggest lessons I learned at a young age that I was able to transition into these spaces is you're responsible for the things that you do, regardless of what the outcome is. And I think when I was a kid, I learned that from, watching my older cousins and how they were able to, maneuver, do whatever they wanted outside, et cetera, et cetera. But if, for example, they came in late or they got in trouble for whatever reason, like it didn't matter what the circumstances were. It was like, yo, you came in late. Like, that's what you're judged on. I don't care if it was because of this reason, that reason, blah, blah, blah. You came
When
in
the
late.
door shuts, the door shuts. You deal
You
with
know
the
what I'm
consequences
saying?
of the door shut. It might be cold outside.
Same thing. Like even for me and my brothers, we would go to the park, we would play ball, and then we just knew like, yo, the only thing we're measured on is that we're back at the house in front of the steps before the light is on. If we're after the light is on, it's an issue. So it's like when you have those little things, you then start like as you get older, being mindful of like, okay, I'm being held accountable for this. Okay, cool. I'm gonna keep that in mind no matter what it is I'm doing. No
You didn't even
excuses.
realize you were building those habits that were gonna go on longer. We
Facts.
don't even
It's
see
just
that, but
like
then we're just like, oh, it's like second nature. You're like, what? What do you mean? I don't.
facts. I just want to make sure I still have my PlayStation and can
Right,
still play my PlayStation.
right,
That's all
for
I'm thinking
sure.
about at
But
the moment.
I'm just trying to make sure it's all cool. Like I'm not because
Facts.
I don't care if I'm late because the police stop me. I'm telling the police like, hey, look, I don't care what we got to do. Give me the
Listen,
ticket,
bro.
whatever. But I'm supposed to be home by 9, so let's just. It's 8:50. I should have. You know what? I should have left at 7:30. You're right. They're right. But just
Facts.
and they're just like, damn, I don't know what you got at home, but here, let me just go on, bro. I'm like, all right, sit, because I gotta go, because I'm about to get fucked up. I only got about 10 minutes left. I got about a 15-minute drive, so I'm more scared of them than you right now, homie. So we could just
Accurate.
bro. So how was school? Like, you're in Brooklyn. You said West Indian family, so you got cousins running around, brothers. Were you like into school, or were you focused on? Now I'm trying to get out of here.
School was interesting, right? Because I think very early on, I ended up going to school. Like we ended up moving to Jersey, and I ended up going to school at this private school in Newark, and that was when I
Newark
started
boys,
to,
got you. I got you. I see that.
yo,
I
that
see where
was
it's
when
going. All right.
I started to see like, okay, there's really different degrees in life, right? Like beforehand, um, I've never seen, not even on TV, things like boarding school, for
Okay.
example. Like I would hear, you would see in movies like kids being sent off to school, this like military school or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you bad, you get shipped away. I was in an environment where you were encouraged to explore visiting different high schools, which was like a foreign concept to me. I didn't even know that's like a thing. It prepped me for, I think, entering some of these different industries in the ways that I have with so much confidence and so much, I think, a level of boldness and comfortability with the risks because I was exposed to it at an early age, right? So imagine being in sixth grade and you're being toured through campuses for high school
Okay.
in fucking like northern Pennsylvania, or fucking Delaware and Vermont and places like this. It's like, yo, I've never
Real
even been
culture
to.
shocks. Real
Yo,
culture.
like night. I remember going to this one school. It was called the Masters, and it was a boarding school. And I remember when we went to the school to like tour the campus looked like all the movie versions of college campuses that I've ever seen. The dorm rooms was fly as fly could be. And then when you go to the cafeteria, they have an ice cream machine in the cafeteria. You could just have as much as you want. And
You're
like
like,
the
what is
food was
this?
gourmet and delicious. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, this is high school? Oh yeah, nah, it's rap, bro. Like I'm going to the Masters.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going there. But then you get back to the neighborhoods that you're living in, and you're like, yo, we don't got fields where kids are playing soccer. We don't have, we can't snowboard out here.
Yeah.
Like there's you realize the disparities, you realize the gaps. You know what I'm saying? And I think
And where are
it
those other kids coming from? Are they coming from similar backgrounds, or was it like a scholarship thing where you were like, oh shit, like these kids' parents
similar.
sent them here?
So this from the school I was in, similar backgrounds, right? But when you go to the master, or when you went to some of these schools, you were able to see like different demographics. Like
Gotcha.
I saw a lot of white people. Excuse me, I saw a lot of Asian people. I saw a lot of Indian people, and it was like when you talk about culture shock, it's like, oh snap! I'm used to seeing just like mad black people and maybe like a couple white teachers, and that's it.
Were you seeing a lot of other black kids at the school, or was it just like, nah,
Nah,
it's just
not even. And so even that made you, at least speak for myself, even that made me feel like, okay, I'm gonna be the guy. Like I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna be the guy.
I
It's
know there ain't
cool.
nobody outshining me here
You
because
know what
I'm
I'm
right
saying?
here.
Like I'm about to go there and be the guy. But it was a blessing, right? And then from touring all these other schools, I ended up going to this school called Pingree in North Jersey, a private school, crazy ass tuition, shit like that.
What
And
made you pick that over the Masters? They had a better ice cream machine.
I didn't get accepted to the masses.
Okay, rejection.
You know
You
what I'm
got
saying? In
it was
fact,
building. It was building a fighter in you. That's cool.
listen, I didn't get accepted to the masters, but it was a blessing in disguise because I
Facts.
learned valuable lessons at Pingree that has stayed with me my entire life. Right? Like I failed out of Pingree my freshman year. I didn't get asked to come back to the school. And when that went down, I remember at first I felt like really defeated. Really defeated. So like I'm not putting yourself in this mindset like, okay, cool, you were going to this dope ass school as a middle schooler. You fucking go to this damn near college for high school, and then they say, nope, we don't want you back. So then you have to go back to the local public school for high school. And it was like over here, you was getting gourmet lunches. Over here, I don't even know if that's real food.
Yeah.
Over here, you had like fencing class, and you know what I'm saying. You were able to take you. I learned the Socratic method
And they're
and shit
telling
like
you you're
that.
gifted over there. You know, when you're in the gifted program, they're
Yo,
like, "Oh, you're just doing so much different." And then when you go back, you're like, "Oh, damn, you're back on the bus." Like it's
I'm
crazy.
on everything, and I remember that experience. in hindsight, what I learned was just how important it was for me to not allow the environments that I'm in to dictate my value. So what happened when I was in Pingree was I felt like an outsider. I felt like I wasn't able to compete with these people. They would talk about things that I've never even heard of. And it made me really, really feel like I didn't belong.
What
So
was that first
two,
thing where you looked over and you were like, "Yo, what the fuck is that?"
they pulled out a MacBook.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I've
Like
seen
that
MacBooks in
the first
movies.
Air thin joint or like the thick white one?
You remember the white ones,
Yep.
and it was like a little bit clear, but a little bit like, and it
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
square, and they had like a black one too.
Yep.
They was using those, and I remember like a student pulled it out in class to take notes, and I was just sitting there like with a literal pen and one of those like spiral notebooks,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I was like, damn.
It's a different league over here.
Like I didn't even like, you know what I'm saying? And then I remember seeing kids. I remember seeing kids talking to each other and things like that about their hobbies and shit like that. And he was like, "Yeah, I got a band, and we go over the house and we practice all the time." And da-da-da. I was like, "Damn, this shit is like a movie, dog. Like y'all got a band? Like that's crazy."
Were
Like
you
I seen
living
that
there
on
or were
Disney channels.
you
Not traveling.
so you come back, you get on the train and come back and forth every day?
No, a bus.
Oh
Get
shit,
on a
okay.
bus. The bus come pick you up, take you, and then back. And it was just like there were other students who, were from my neighborhood who would now go on the bus with me to the school because there was a couple of us in different grades. But
Yeah. And then
I
now
think
you're
they
going
just
back to
adjusted
regular
better.
school.
I'm boom, they kicked me out. They're like, yo, it's been the way they did it was mad dirty, son. I ain't gonna lie to you. The way they did it was mad dirty. I remember I finally said I had courage. It was like the last few days. I was like, yo, you know what? I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna try. And so I filled out my classes for the next year. And I went to this lady who was supposed to be like my guidance counselor. And I saw her walking down the hallway. So I run up to her, mad excited. Hey, look, I'm about to give it everything I got. Here's my sheet for my classes next year. She takes it from me and looks at me and says, "You don't have to worry about this. You won't be back," and keeps walking. Cold,
Bro, that
cold,
is so cold.
cold.
Like
Yo, I was just like, if
she
it was a
didn't
boy,
sugarcoat it or nothing. She just
no,
said, "Hey, don't trip. You ain't coming back here. I don't know what you
yo,
thought this
she didn't
was."
she didn't even stop to wait for me to react. Just told me that and kept it pushing. And I was just like,
Yo, what the fuck?
yo, I mean, that was arguably one of the like lowest points, right? And so, boom, now I go to public school, and while I'm in public school, all I'm thinking is like, yo, I gotta get out of here because this is where the losers are. That's my fault for having that mindset. But it was like going from there to here. I felt like, yo, I lost. Imagine playing in the NBA and then the team is like, "Nah, you good. We not renewing your
Yeah,
contract."
we're gonna
And then
cut
they
you.
ship you out to fucking China. Like that's where I felt like I just went.
And you
Like I
got
got
West
shipped out.
Indian guy and these parents at home to remind you that, yo, we sent you to this good school and now you come back to this regular school. Now you're going over here
My
to play
mom
for
was
China.
not happy. My mom was not happy
So
at all.
now you've got an even bigger chip on your shoulder. Like, I gotta prove her right. I
I
gotta
gotta get out of
quiet
here.
all this down.
I was like, I gotta get out of here.
So
And
you're
God
back
is
now,
great
sophomore
because I
year.
did not. Yeah, sophomore year, boom. God is great because he's like, nah, you staying, you staying here.
You
And
gonna
what
live
I
this out
learned,
like Job. You're gonna learn
yo,
until you figure out what's going on.
what I learned while I was there was ill. I learned one, and it helped. Again, all these things helped me to have the mindset and do the things that I do today. While I was there, one of the first things I learned was that, yo, your environment doesn't dictate your value, right? Like the assumption was because I went to that school and that place, that my value was higher than the people who go to this school and this place. Why? Because that's what you're told. That's what they feed you. Like, yo, this opportunity is so great because if he wasn't here, you'll be down there. And so when you get down there, you feel like, damn, I lost. But I'm in these rooms and I'm talking to these kids, and I'm engaging with all these people, and I'm just like, wait a second, these people are just as brilliant. Sure, I don't see MacBooks, but the type of responses that I'm hearing, the type of ways that people are challenging people, the way people talk about their interests, and then you start looking at life and the fact that you have people who are dead for real fighting for their life on top of trying to get an education. You
Right.
have people who dead for real are like, you know what I'm saying, wearing the same clothes all week and still trying to get an education. And so it helped me to have a different level of perspective on what it means to be a valuable person, what it means to, have real friendships, right? Because I think in those kind of dynamics, it's easier for somebody to become your friend because of you,
Yeah.
not because of
Not
what you
what you
have,
offer or
not
who you
what
can
you,
relate them to
nah,
later.
100%. It's like you. You know what I'm saying? Are you good peoples or are you not good peoples? And so it was like, okay, cool, bet. Um, Nah, that was crazy. That was a crazy time too. Wild fights. I think like every day was like a fight across the street. Shit was crazy.
You go back to public
Absolutely
school and
crazy.
realize there's kids there that are like that are the breadwinners for their family. You know,
A
someone's
hundred
sick at
percent.
home, someone's on disability, someone's not in the country no more, and they're holding it down for their younger sisters or
A
brothers, and
hundred
you're like,
percent.
oh shit, let me just shut the fuck up and come do my little homework and go home and deal with whatever going on at home and
I
get,
became I became a little bit of a troublemaker because I feel like when I went there, I grew up quicker.
for
I
sure.
grew up quicker
You were
because I
exposed
was
to the realities of life.
of life, like of life. It was like, no, 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 no. This privilege that a lot of people have to just be, let's say, one thing in one capacity because their life allows them to be shielded from other things and experiences, that was removed immediately. Because now, for example, you had to deal with, I remember it was like my first week, and I found out that like the Haitians in the school didn't fuck with the Jamaicans in the school. And they literally planned like a fight in the front of the school after school. Like it was a brawl. Like that shit was looking
It was a
like,
full on riot. It was going on.
yo, no, multiple cop cars, bloody people, like whole nine. And again, I had no idea what was going on. I don't know none of you. I am as new can be.
Because every morning, yeah, you're from the block, but every morning you get up and get on the bus and go out, and
You see
then
what I'm
you
saying?
come back, yeah, and you're like, hey, what's up? And you go, like the people around and your
I have
family.
my friends in my neighborhood, like on my street, but I didn't know the people in the neighborhood. So you know what I'm saying? Imagine your first week and it's just like somebody pull up on you, yo, you Haitian? It's like, no. Oh, all right. And then it's just like, yo, what is this ridiculous? Yo, where are you from? Where's your family from? Stuff like that. And it was just like, okay, cool. This is not about how smart are you? Do you know what Socrates did? Can you tell me about Pygmalion? Fucking world history. Da, da, da. Like that's not this dynamic.
Yeah, no, there's no
This
talking it out.
dynamic is
It's
who are you? That's what this dynamic is. And
and how are
so,
you gonna stand up for yourself, or
100%,
we don't know you, so we're gonna learn everything we need to know about you right now. Well,
a
who are
hundred
you
percent,
inside Kenyatta?
100%, and it teaches you about yourself. It teaches you about others. And again, it makes you very much responsible and accountable for your
I'm
actions.
still here.
That's kind of fire. As soon as like the fact that it's got that little, little error report.
That I just straight hit the rainbow screen. Yeah,
um,
so you definitely had to kind of figure it out on your own, because that's not like it's not like you can go home and be like, hey. I was saying, oh shit, I wasn't even by the mic. I was saying you kind of had to figure it out on your own, because not like you can go home and be like, oh hey, school's tough for me. It's like, well, you got yourself into this, so.
a hundred percent, a
And
hundred
yeah,
percent. There was no remorse at the house.
it was like, oh well.
No remorse. I remember. I got my hoodie stolen. One of my favorite hoodies stolen out of my locker. Um, and I remember I was just pissed. I mean, it was my favorite hoodie. And I remember I called my mom after school to let her know, like, somebody stole my hoodie. And my mom was like, and she's amazing. I just want to make this disclaimer. But my mom was like, it was silent on the phone. And I remember my mom was like, okay.
So they stole your
And I
jacket.
was waiting for, I'm over here waiting for this like big reaction. Da, da, da. I never had nobody rob me before. I don't know, you know what I'm saying, how that feel like. And it's not like somebody did it to me personally. You know what I'm saying? They just, I go to my locker's busted wide open, and my hoodie's missing. Okay, cool. So when she gave me that reaction, I was like,
Oh, it's cold out here.
oh yeah, nah, there's no remorse at the house. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got yourself here. Now navigate. Just figure it out. So I
At
ain't getting
that
nothing else stolen from me ever again.
right? No,
So
that
you know
part.
what I'm
That
saying? We
the
figured
lesson
that
was
out.
learned quick.
We figured that one out.
At that point, had you already figured like I'ma just because like coming from that kind of school background early on, it's so like
Hmm.
education. Were you like,
Hmm.
no, I need to figure it out, education plus financially, or were you still like I need to find some kind of side hustle? Were you like, no, I'm gonna just focus on school and worry about it after that?
I was more so like, okay, education is important, but what's more important is people skills. People skills. Because I was watching, for example, I was watching people get along with people or be able to, you know, build with people, not based on their education, but strictly based off relationship. Like, hey, yo, this is my man's, he's good. And then watching everybody react to that. Like, all right, cool. He said he's good, so he's good. All right, cool. We just cool with you.
He's William,
Same
so
thing
it's all
with
right.
like 100%. Like same thing like in classes. Like there were guys who I would see would have, wouldn't know as much as other people or wouldn't be too studious, right? But I would also watch how when we get outside of school, they just command respect of everybody and everybody treats them with the utmost respect. And everybody is always, responding to them positively. You know what I'm saying? What they said held a lot of weight. And I was like, okay, that's just as important, if not more important, than just the education by itself. Because when you walk outside of the school, that's what determines your interactions in this space. That's what determines your interactions in life. And so I was like, okay, cool. Let me focus on developing those skills. Not only understanding, who I am as a man, but let me develop the kind of skills where it's like, okay, cool. Who is good to me? Like, who's good with me? Who do I rock with? Who is the type of people that I want to be reflected with? Okay, cool. If somebody calling me to do whatever, can they hold me accountable to that? Can I make sure that, if my number is called and I need to, what I'm saying, do what I got to do for my people, can I go ahead and do that? Can you count on me for that, et cetera, et cetera? How do I want to be
Hundred
seen? How do I
percent.
want to be known around here? And I invested, I mean, everything into that.
And to
Everything
put
into that.
the weight of your name was more than the worth of
A
any of
hundred
it.
percent. 100%. 100%.
That's something a lot of people don't even think about is that like what you're and again you said what you're doing now you're accountable for is that my name as long as my name and face card are good everywhere and with me then I know that I'm gonna be okay because I'm holding myself accountable and that's
100%.
and that's where you're at where you're like hey it don't matter all the outside factors would I hold him in the same account as me right now well I gotta stand up for that because that's how I see myself so
100%.
that probably isn't as prevalent in early high school in a private school. Like it's like
Not at all.
it's a lot of other stuff
Not at
going
all.
on, and a lot of other manipulate, and a lot of other mind games that help people on different levels. But the everyday life of it isn't. Hey man, I'm getting on the bus and going back home to my family or whatever. But I'm not. I don't got to worry about somebody smacking me in the mouth if I say something out of pocket. Like once those realities
100%.
come to you, you're like, oh shit, I'm accountable for myself.
100%. What weighs heavily in, I would say, public school is completely different than what weighs heavily in private school, right? Like in private school, even if you're talking social dynamics, It was more important that you were quote unquote cool based on things and experiences versus who you are as a person. Whereas in public school, it's very much who you are as a person because things and experiences weren't necessarily guaranteed.
100%.
So those two different dynamics were at play. So I I feel like I'm uniquely positioned because I got to experience both dynamics very early. So by the time I'm an adult, I'm almost desensitized to the quote unquote rules of engagement, and I'm able to navigate these spaces as myself.
No, that's 100% important to the process, especially when you now go out of high school and you're like, all right, what am I going to do next? It's a lot of real relationships where, there's a guy standing, you'll see somewhere, a guy standing at the door being like, oh, we made a reservation here the other day. And it's like, I've never made a reservation here in my life. I just show up and I come through and I take care of the girl at the door. And my man's back there knows me, and the library back there always takes care of me, and everybody's good. And I don't know, bro. I just been coming here and showing love when I come here, and then I'm around and outside, so they see me outside, and I show the same love and respect back when I see them. Oh, just come through. It's all good. And
Listen,
then that type of thing gets you way more than like I know how to use a Outlook and a spreadsheet and shit.
yo, listen. I gotta tell you this, and I give KD his props regularly, right? Because there are things that I learned from KD specifically that will stay with me my whole life. When I was in college, out in Georgia, there's this guy named KD who ran like a party promotion crew and team
Okay.
out there. Went to the college before I got there, all types of things. But I'm around like I think I'm a sophomore ish, and if not junior year, like somewhere around that ballpark. But while I was there, I kept hearing about this party promotion crew called like the Big O, the Family, and things like that. Never saw this man a day of my life, right? I just keep hearing like, yo, such and such is going to be in tacos, such and such, the Family, such and such, the Big O. I'm just like, yo, who are these niggas, bro? Like, this is crazy. Apparently, it's the best parties whenever they throw parties. All the flyer shorties come out when they throw parties. All the people are having fun when they throw parties. But I've never seen these people.
You've been to the
And every
parties but
time I would
never
go,
seen the.
this is what I'm saying. I'm like, yo, who are these people? And everybody keeps telling me, yo, I'm gonna connect you with this person. I'm gonna connect you with this person. And like, because of knowing people and again relationships, I move kind of deeper into that like party promotion scene. And the by the time I'm able to put like a face to name, these guys were no longer on the campus or coming to the campus. So I'm like, damn, son, like that's crazy. So one time I bet on myself. I just go to South by Southwest just to go ahead and you know what I'm saying, try my hand at rapping. I feel like
Okay.
everybody does that at a different point. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I was pretty nice, you know what I'm saying? But I go out to South by Southwest on my own, dolo, and I'm out there doing my thing, and I see KD and them out there, the whole family, all of these dudes, and they got people performing all
The
types of
Big
stuff. And it
O, the
was,
Family, they got a
yo,
little a
and
little thing there.
they got like a little section. People was performing on stage. I'm like, and so I show respect. I'm like, yo, what's up? Yo, I love what y'all doing. Yo, it's crazy. Like, mad respects, all that. Boom, boom. I get back to the college, right? Somehow, I don't remember, but he got in contact with me. He was like, hey, yo, I want to talk to you. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on? All right, cool, bet. He
You
was
know, it's
like,
running.
cool. We sit out in front of the Starbucks. I'll never forget this. We sat out in front of the Starbucks on the campus, and he broke down the whole family Big O thing to me. He was just like, his principles, the way to go about structuring events, how to take care of your people, everything. And I'm just sitting here soaking up all the game. I'm like, He was like, yo, you know what I'm saying? I saw you out at South by Southwest. I see you as the type of person that takes initiative and, you know what I'm
I know you're
saying, willing to do
serious
what you
about it
gotta,
because you're
you know
out
what I'm
here.
saying? And he was like, yo, we wanna, you know what I'm saying? We wanna bring you in. We want you to, yo, in that moment, I was like, I will never in my life violate my principles for anybody. Anybody. Because you had people around that time like being hella thirsty, trying to, you know what I'm saying, run after every opportunity, trying to be with every promotion team, trying to do all these different things. But what made those guys stand out and that group stand out was these guys are all about integrity from day one. These guys are all about if it's not going to be the best joint, then there's not a point in doing it. These guys were not in everybody's face. They weren't the people that was all over social media talking about it, spamming it, da da da. They weren't those guys. And so I was like, cool. I have mad respect for that. So let me go ahead and do my thing and just honor my code. And then serendipitously, that attracted that. Like
Yeah,
attracted like. And so when, you know what I'm saying, that happened, I was like, all right, cool. That's the confirmation I needed as an adult. Like, yo, I'm never violating my principles for nobody.
that was also probably a testament to, like you said, being willing to go get on the bus by yourself, go out to private school. No, nobody out there is gonna know me. I'm gonna just go out there by myself, hate it, but I'm gonna go and build a relationship to be the same. Say, hey, you know, I'm gonna just go to Texas. I don't know nobody there. I'm gonna hope I can get on a show, maybe meet somebody, and see what I do next. How are they bubbling?
Facts.
And that showed someone like, oh no, because I'm sure he did the same thing. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go over here. Where'd you go to school in Georgia, and what took you down there? Same thing, or was it an opportunity? Or
Hey, listen, I went to the University of West Georgia. It was a college. Went to the University of West Georgia for college. I ended up leaving the high school I was in my sophomore year because we ended up moving to Georgia. So I did my
okay,
junior and senior year in in Georgia. Three different high schools in 4 years. It was a
that's
crazy,
crazy.
crazy time.
That's
Crazy time.
crazy. Well, that's a whole. That's a super culture shock because that's the South.
Yeah, buddy. Everything is different.
That's
Everything was
crazy.
different.
So is that I know? So is that's what basically took you to the South, and you were like, you know what, I don't need to deal with that no more. I'm gonna be. Did you go down to like Atlanta, or were you in like West
I
Georgia,
was
or
in I was in a place called Noonan. So it was like
rural
if
or city?
Atlanta suburbia
Oh,
kind of, but closer to the rural part of suburbia than the city part of suburbia
okay.
for sure. For sure.
That's crazy. So that's a whole new dynamic. All right, now were you thinking like, okay, I'm gonna set my roots here, or were you like, now I really
Hell
got to get
no.
out of Georgia?
I was like, hey, yo, this ain't for me at all. Like, there was never a point where I was living in Atlanta or living in Georgia or going to school in Georgia where I was like, I could see myself here. Never a point. Never a point. But I also understood by that time that, okay, there were lessons that I learned in this experience with the private school. There were lessons that I learned in this experience going back to public school. There are lessons that I could learn here too. So I'm gonna just soak up game while I'm here. And I did that, right? Like one of the biggest lessons I learned from Atlanta was just how much your culture is almost like your signature. Like there are some things that are so Atlanta that the people of Atlanta can recognize instantaneously and it just attracts default. There are
Well,
things about there's things about like that like it surpasses even Southern culture, right? Because Southern culture hits on like, the kind of draw that people have, the kind of food people eat. But then there's Atlanta culture that is very specific to Atlanta. Like, and it means something to the people of Atlanta for real. Like, they take it personally. And so it was like another lesson. Boom. What's your culture? You know what I'm saying? What's personal to you?
and what do you bring back to your culture? You know what?
Yeah.
As a you are you're a representative of your culture. You know, like you meet someone from Atlanta, they're flying like I'm from Atlanta, flag 200 feet tall, and you're from
100%.
New York, so you go down there like, nah, I'm from New York, like I'm from the
100%.
Mecca, so with maybe the exact same size flag, like, and it's a culture clash, but also you're like, oh shit, like you don't even realize it, and you're like, no, I stand for this. All of a sudden, like, you know, you get to
Listen,
somewhere new, and you're like, wait, I didn't even know it was in me, but that common bond, we stuck together on that, you know, like,
I tried to play it. I tried to play it, play it down because, people would say that people from New York always like to, tell everybody they from New York and different things like that. So I tried to play it down for a minute, and I just caught myself more often than not. It just coming out because it's natural, and
it's
then
in you, not on you.
100%, and then you just kind of realize like, nah, this is me. Good, bad, and indifferent. This is me. Like, I'm not gonna be cool with these things. I'm gonna love these things, and in between is where growth happens. And so,
Man, that's a
yeah,
bar right there.
I think that was one of the biggest takeaways from my time in Atlanta. But then to your same point, after Atlanta, I just picked up and went to LA. It was like,
Okay,
yo, I'm
so
gonna try LA.
you just picked
I'm
up and
out.
said, here we go, we're out.
I
What?
sold I sold my car. I sold mad clothes. I did as many photo shoots as possible and scraped up mad money, and I was out.
I'm gonna take one step back because you said something in there that I'm like, wait, that's what were you doing in Georgia that made you say, oh, I can? What did you have in Georgia that said, oh, this is gonna translate to LA? Like it's too small for me here. Was
Me,
photography? He said me. He said I'm him,
me.
and I'm too big for this
Listen,
tank.
listen. I've always listen. So I knew for a fact that my vision for photography wasn't going to be realized in Atlanta. I knew that. I also knew that for me as a person, I have like a deep hunger. And I don't know if it'll ever be satisfied, but I have a deep hunger to really put myself out there and test myself against not just the best, but real challenges, things that I really feel like take all of me in order to complete. Now I didn't feel challenged in Atlanta. So I was like, okay, I know it's not time for me to go back home to New York. So I'm gonna go see what LA is hitting for. Excuse me. And there was, you know what I'm saying, at the time, I was talking to a shorty from LA. And so
Okay,
I was like, oh, this is an easy one too.
what's the worst
I'm
that could
out.
happen? Yeah.
I'm out. And yo, LA, like in movies where the superhero gets their ass kicked, like, I mean, destroyed right before they find out, like, the
Yeah, I
power
got
was
it.
in me the whole time, and
Yeah.
then becomes a superhero. That's what LA was for me. LA kicked my ass. LA kicked my ass.
And outside of Homegirl, did you know what you were gonna do? Did you have any
Hell
idea? You
no.
had nothing lined up. You were just like, I'm gonna go out
Hell
there
no.
and see what pieces we can put in play, and I'll run them.
Supreme confidence in myself. Supreme
Talk your
confidence in
shit,
myself.
Kenyatta.
And it was just it honestly and truly, it was like, okay, cool. I know for a fact that, I believe in God. And so I'm like, I know for a fact that the worst case scenario, God got me. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what that experience is going to be like, but I have full faith in the fact that this whole transition of my life is God ordained. So cool. Boom. I'm out there. And I was like, I'll figure it out while I get there. So I get to LA and I'm like, okay, cool. Let me look for a job. I'm staying at this like co-work space. It's a fly ass space in a fly ass neighborhood of LA. I was staying 2 blocks away from the Beverly Center, right
Okay,
there on Croft Ave. Like
okay. Over there, what, like
my
West
neighbor
LA?
was the drummer of Guns N' Roses. Like it
Yeah,
was
you're
not
getting a
bad. I
real
lived it.
LA experience, like right there. Like, okay, oh shit.
I could walk down the block. There's Alfred. I can walk up the block this way. There's Blue Bottle. Like I'm right
Okay.
there on Beverly Boulevard. And I was like, cool, I'll get me a job. Got a job. But the only job that was hiring at the time was this job on Hollywood Boulevard, supervising a denim brand.
Okay.
And I didn't have a car. And at the time I also didn't know public transportation.
It's
So
a little different in LA than it is. It's not, all just some straight.
yo,
This
I
street's
was
gonna go this way.
walking.
Oh, okay.
I was walking. It was 3.5 miles to the job and back home. I was walking 7 miles a shift.
And LA walking isn't like New York. You're getting hit
Not
up
at
on the
all.
way through there.
Dog.
It's a long 3 miles, bro.
Straight, yeah, I'll never forget. Straight up the hill, straight up the hill, straight just to get on the boulevard, dog.
You start realizing like, and this neighborhood, it looks sweet halfway here, but it's not. It's not. It's definitely not sweet right here.
I just realized I need to get my money up. I was like, nah, I need to get my money up.
But people don't realize, like, when you start to like see shit in LA and see experiences, you're like, even if I was doing it in my city right now, like I'm like, nah, I gotta get on it because I can't. Once you get a taste, it's like that. I forget who says it in that reels, but it's like I think it's Steve Harvey. He says like, sit in first class, and then you'll have a taste of first class, and you'll have a hard time going back because you're like, but I tasted it. And once you get that little taste of LA where you're like, oh no, I can't do whatever this thing was in Georgia. Like, no, I need
Listen,
this.
dog.
You start attaining for it.
I was like, I think what I got a taste of was walking around, like in the neighborhood I lived in, walking around and seeing how casual people were with luxury. Like I would go to the Alfreds on Melrose Place, not the one on Melrose Avenue, the one on Melrose Place, and I would see celebrities and influencers walking in this spot and just casually having a cup of coffee, Balenciaga down, Gucci down. Like,
what year is this?
2018.
Okay, so
like
at a time when LA was really LAing, like it was.
This isn't the pandemic. This is like
this
right
is
before the pandemic.
yeah.
Where being an influencer meant like you getting the ignorant checks to go to Coachella, like stupidity. And so I was like, hey yo, these people live out here. So nah, son, I'm not trying to be walking those 7 miles too much longer. We gotta figure this puzzle out ASAP.
100%. You'll see people who are like, that haven't had a car in like 8 years, like random stuff in LA, and you'll be like, oh, okay, that's what I can't do. Like you'll just see someone like, you're doing what? You're taking the bus from where to where? Why? Like, and then you'll meet someone who's like, oh yeah, I'm doing this and I'm paying my assistant this, and you're like, bro, you could just go get that guy's laundry for twice what you're making a year, and you got to be like, hold on, I got to start working smarter than harder, because it ain't about getting up and going to work every day. It's about the relationships I can leverage. And so
I'll tell you this. I was doing well. I ended up switching jobs. I was working out of Diesel on Santa Monica before they closed the store. There I met like another person who's like a mentor for me. Her name is Alex, and that's where I learned, I don't want to say the secrets, but that's where I learned a lot of the intricacies of luxury branding. I remember Alex was showing me small things like how to hold a pair of jeans to sell to the customer. And you don't really think about that, right? Especially if you come from retail before. So you think like you just hold up the product, right? Or you may point to the product, or you look through the product to get them to see. But Alex is like, if I just hold it up for you like this, you're gonna think about it like a regular pair of jeans. But if I hold it out for you like this, you're gonna look at this pair of jeans. you're really gonna try and inspect this pair of jeans. And if you're asking somebody to buy $300-$400 pair of jeans, then no, you can't just hold it up like it's a pair of Levi's. I'm like, yo, this is not Wrangler. And as she was breaking
Facts.
down those principles to me, I was like, damn, son, I got to figure out how I can apply that to my everyday, like my experience out here. Like, yo, what's different? It's got to be different. My process has to be different. Everything has to be different. But
Because you're a product. What you realize in LA is that you realize
100%.
that you're like, oh shit, I'm the jeans.
You're
Like,
the jeans.
You're like, oh shit, it's how am I presenting myself to? How am I? Am I just being like, hey, I'm just a dude. I show up, I do my job, I do that, or is it like, hey, I'm doing X, Y, and Z because I'm the jeans and I'm sellable? You know,
That's a bar. You're the jeans.
you're the jeans,
You're the
bro.
jeans.
And so, am I holding myself like these $500 pair of jeans, or am I holding these like, oh no, these are just like outlet jeans. Here you go. Like, just go for it. Like they ball them up and throw them in the bin. If you just look through there, they might have your size. Like, how do I see myself? What jeans am I like?
Yo, and you really see people treat you differently. I remember, when I got my first allotment from Diesel, I remember going out in like my old Diesel fit, right? And same spot that, usually we pulled up at, but like, yo, people was dapping me up all night. People was asking me about what I do all night. People was like, hey, you want to drink? And in my head, I was like, hey, we was just in here and I ain't get no love like this. But when I was in there, I had black jeans, black hoodie, some Timbs, and was just chilling.
And now all of a
Okay,
sudden
now I come dieseled out. You know what I'm saying? The jacket, the shirt is clean, fitted in the right places. The Diesel jeans is looking, you know what I'm saying, high quality. Plus the sneakers is tight. All right, cool. I walk in the spot now, and it's like, yo, who is this guy? And that's when you start to see, like, okay. Presentation is everything.
Bro,
presentation is
so
everything.
And that principle came from me being like, you know what, like I'm gonna move up to do this at Diesel. But at that time, were you also thinking of like what are my gifts? What are my attributes that I can do? Or were you focused like, hey, I'm just getting this money right now and I'll figure that out later?
I was focusing on both, right? Where it was like, okay, I need to focus on how am I getting money today, because you need to pay bills.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? I need to eat. I need to have a roof over my head, cover my basics. But I also was thinking about how do I make my product, my service of photography feel like luxury? How do I attract the kind of clients that are walking into this Diesel store? Like somebody who walked into the store, I'll never forget, this guy walked into the store. He was looking for a pair of jeans. At the time, we had like these jogger style jeans, and they were like minimum $300, like minimum, the cheapest ones. And I think his name was like Yakiv or something like that. But he was like the number one seller in the store. And I remember he was showing one of the guys, showing that guy the joggers, and dude ended up leaving with like 4 or 5 pairs, casually, just like casual, and just walked out. And I was like, that's the kind of client that I'm looking for. Somebody who's not so much thinking about the price, but somebody who's like, okay, what is the quality and how does this work for me? Oh, this fits perfectly for me. And it's exactly what I need. Okay, cool. Give me all these styles. I'm out. Cool. Go about my business. And it was like, okay, I need to orient myself to that. But in that same process, you also have to learn that there's no shortcuts in business. So if your business, for example, is I don't want to disrespect nobody, so I'll phrase it this way. If you have not positioned yourself or prepared your business to be positioned like a luxury product, right? And you've been treating it like a mass production product, and then you try to jump into the luxury space, you may have a hard time getting clients, because a lot of these things aren't going to feel authentic, and you're not going to be as sensitive to the details as you may need to be in order to attract those people, keep those people, retain those people, and do it consistently. And I didn't know that. I learned that the hard way. So the diesel store closed down. Now I remember we had like our severance checks or whatever, and I was like, okay, cool. I know exactly what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna take this dough. I'm gonna build a startup. It's like,
What, doing what? What did you think?
you see what I'm saying? Like it was like,
Oh shit! You didn't even know. You were just like, I'm gonna just do a startup with
you know what
it.
I'm saying? Because I'm around these people. I'm learning these things about luxury branding, and I'm around other people doing startups, and I know people in fashion, and so I'm like, okay, cool. I could just combine all of that to this fire ass startup idea. I put all my money into it, everything. That shit bombed. That shit bombed. And I mean, I went ham. I had brochures, I had pamphlets, I had fire ass website, I had a sales coach, I had everything. I was like, yo, I'm gonna cross every T dot every I. That shit bombed.
But it wasn't
Bombed.
authentic. It wasn't organically you.
And not only that, but it was like, yo, you industries have real rules of engagement. You can't shortcut the process of experience. I'd never done a startup before in my life. I had never done a business of that type or scale before in my life. So it was like, you can't just, that's like saying, I know what I'm going to do today. What you going to do today? I'm going to go to the NBA draft. I'm going to try to play in the NBA. Why?
Yeah.
Because like you went to the park and you was like, you know what I'm saying? You was scoring on people. Like, what did that mean? Like you nice in 2K, so you was like, yo, you know what I'm gonna do?
Yo,
Go try out for NBA.
that's even more delusional to go from 2K. You ain't never even gone out and shot it. You don't know what 15 feet even feels like, or
You
22 feet. You're
you
out
see
there
it?
just like, oh, I done it on 2K. You're like,
That's amazing that you even put it that way because like that's a reality. There are some of us, and unfortunately, I think this happens because of the digital age. But there are some of us who, to your example, don't know what 15 feet feels like. They've shot it in a simulation and go, oh, I'm nice in the simulation. Let me go do that for real.
if
And
the
then you
green
do
line
it for
goes up and
real.
goes this way, I could do it.
You
They
see
ain't
what I'm
never
saying?
really shot a
And then you
shot.
go do it for real. And then when that doesn't happen, you feel like it's the NBA's fault. Like there's something wrong with these hoops. There's something wrong with these basketballs. You know what? The rules ain't fair. It's like, hold on, son. You just don't play. You have not put in the hours on the actual court to make yourself successful.
For
And so that's
real.
what I learned. It was like, hey, yo, son, you have no clue how to do a startup. You just happen to be in an environment where startups are happening and you have a lot of confidence in yourself, but you can't shortcut the education. You can't
100%.
shortcut the experience that people have in this space to help them better navigate. Like I didn't even know what I needed. I was just like, idea wise, I want to make sure that it looks great. So I invested everything into it looking great. It was like, okay, it looks amazing.
I mean, hey, Firefest worked because there was another 10,000 people that were like, hey, I mean, that's what we're doing on Instagram anyways. Like, I figure once we get there, we'll just buy the ticket and they'll figure it out. And, like, that dude was like, I watched an interview where he said, like, I should have just said, hey, can someone help me do this? Or, like, I want to do this. Let me find the people. I don't know anything about this. I don't know. He's like, I've thrown, like, some parties and done, like, some cool collaborations. I've never done a festival. And like no one's willing to say like, let me go get someone that knows what to do, or let me ask someone. I just talked to someone the other day, and she said a while back she was moving into, ironically enough, kind of like a semi luxury role with a newer company, and it was gonna be like in like a nightlife management role. That's the best way to put it, right? And so like in like table service and like managing all that, and keeping everything. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, bro. Like you're like a concierge for the tables. Like that's gonna be you're the
100%.
perfect person for that. She was like, okay. she came in like a couple weeks later. I was like, hey, how's that going? She's like, oh, like I kind of like I don't know, I'm kind of on the ropes there. They're not really taking my suggestions. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like, all right. So I saw her again. She's like, yeah, I don't know if it's the place for me. I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean it's the place for you? And she tells me the suggestions, and I'm like, those are pretty big suggestions. And I said, well, I said, let me just ask you a question. Have you ever managed just a regular restaurant before? She was like, no. I was like, have you ever worked at a restaurant before? She's like, I was like, have you ever been a host? Like just at the door, like the girl like just takes you to your table, manages the flow of the seats, not even the seating the tables or running the food. Just have you ever hosted? She's like, no. I was like, all right, you need to go host for 4 months and don't ask to do anything else. You need to go be the bartender for a year and not ask to do anything else. And know each role before you start telling this guy who's had a successful nightclub for fucking 15, 20 years that he's overstaffed or that he needs to do major brand cuts to things. Like, man, this guy has made it in the city. This guy is a multi-millionaire. And you're like, I've actually never, they just thought, I was great at social media. So I'm like, hey, like that's something the kids today, like, don't even think about. And they're really big on, there's a word they're all using because I don't get a chance to like make a difference here. I'm getting a chance to make an impact. And it's like, no, you just got here. I've done this for 10 plus years. You don't get to make an impact here because my impact reflects your paychecks. Like, you don't get to replace experience. Like you said, that's deep.
There's a guy on Twitter who I follow, and he tweeted this, and it stuck with me. He said, man, it's like people say a lot. It was something along the lines of people say a lot that people are out here just winging it, but you really, really know the difference when you're working with somebody who has experience. And that stuck with me because it was like you can't fake the details of anything. So an example that I think is dope is when Kobe was in his in one of these interviews, he was talking about how he practiced, right? Wake up at like 3, go practice for 2 hours. He's like, yo, I'll practice 8 times in a day. You only practice twice. Yeah. There's no way you're keeping up, right? So
by accident, I'm gonna be 3 times ahead of you simply by practicing more.
Casual. So as that was going down and I'm listening to it, I'm like, yo, just off of the strength of the amount of repetitions he has, I'm more than sure there's more things that Kobe knows about the literal game of basketball than the super athletic kid that just got drafted. And then I listened to another interview and I was like, boom, I was right. This guy started talking about knowing the different angles on the court. This guy started talking about knowing the different degrees of the angles. Which position on the court, like which position on the court you have the better percentage chance of making a shot. And he was like, I knew these things. What angle of the court the referees aren't going to be able to see as well. So you're able to get an elbow and you're able to get and I stopped and I was just like, you can't cheat that. Like you can't just, I'm nice my way into that. That's experience and training. You can't cheat that. And it shows in the way that the results come out. And so, that was one of my biggest lessons, right? Like after that, like straight up failure, like that was a failure, dog. When I tell you that shit bombed, that shit bombed, dog. And I lost everything. From there, I was like, I didn't even know where I was going to sleep at night.
Did you feel defeated, or did you be like, I
100%.
I got here. I know I can get here again.
Nah. I felt defeated, dog. Like, to the point where, I was going to be evicted the if I'm not mistaken, it was like the 18th. My birthday's on the 11th, and it was maybe like the 8th. And
Okay.
so I was like, yo, I failed at life. So and like I felt like I failed God too. So I was like, cool. I'm gonna end it before my next birthday. Not gonna be an issue for people no more. We gonna call it a life. Because I was like, though, you about to get evicted, like in a
The,
city that you don't know. All that confidence and everything was done. Everything
that
disappeared.
wave had started
Laws
to
of
look insurmountable.
everything. It was like, dog, you don't come back from this. Like, what do you like? You don't come. You have no dope. Like you have
It's it's a real it's rock bottom is for real. That's
100%, 100%. And so it was really a moment where it was like, one of those great testimonies where it was like I felt God. I felt God, save me from, taking my life. And it was like, okay, cool. Made it to my birthday. Okay, cool. What's the next step? God sent the angel. Her name is Shanice, and she maybe met me in person one time. We were cool people over IG. She met me in person one
hold on,
time when
hold
I
on,
was
hold on, 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 hold on. She's also a photographer?
no.
No? Okay, alright, because I was about to be like, wait, hold on, wait. So,
Nah, Shanice, if I'm not mistaken, at the time had she was working with kids, like a literacy program with kids, something with teaching with kids,
okay.
and like I'm saying, like we was cool loosely through online, but maybe interacted in person like maybe 2 times, 3 times
Also in
max.
LA though, you guys were based
In
nearby?
LA, in
Okay.
LA, she was living in Crenshaw at the time, and I'll never forget. I just told her about my situation, and she was like, "Yo, you could stay here for a few days." And I was like, "Look, if I could get a month, I'll figure something out." She was like, "I can't do a month, but like a week, 2 weeks."
Yeah, but tomorrow you're not outside.
Yo, and I was like, she doesn't know me from Adam. You know what I'm saying? Like to let me in your home is a big deal. She didn't know me from Adam. And I was like, I remember crying after that phone call because I'm like, I know that's God. I know that's God because this person doesn't owe me anything. This person doesn't know me, none of that. And so she even scooped me from my crib and, for a minute was like, that's where I was stashing, you know what I'm saying? That's where I was stashing my stuff. And so just blessed, bro. And, after that, it was okay, cool. Now we gotta find fucking those like 1 bedroom or nah, it was like the shared bunk type hostel situations on
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Airbnb for like $25 a night type
Yeah.
shit. And it was like doing those, and I was making the money the day of. Like it was wild, bro. Like I was working a crazy whatever I lost, whatever felt like it was destroyed, it just got rebuilt through a trial by fire because it was like, okay, cool. Well, we're here now. Our faith is restored. What do we got to do? Okay, well, I need food. I need shelter. Okay, how do I get food and shelter? I need money. Okay, well, how can I get money? Okay, well, we're going to get money by doing photography.
How can we
So
replicate this
we're going
process
to
every day?
lit dog. I'm sending maybe 100 emails a day from Craigslist, Model Mayhem, IG, Facebook. If you were online, I'm like, dog, and you're remotely in this area and you needed photography for anything, boom. And so, for a while, it was literally like book a shoot today. The moment the money comes in, have food today. I get to have a crib, roof over my head for the next 2 days, and then we tomorrow repeat this process. And I was able to, you know what I'm saying, work that system.
That takes one incredibly amount of faith in yourself, and two, like earlier, like I just had a conversation with one of my cousins actually, like a few months ago, and he told me a situation, and I was like, "Yo, like, why didn't like you why didn't you come tell anyone that was about to happen? You know, like, hey, I got myself in this jam, like, bro, like, you got 700 cousins with." We all got 50 feet on the floor that you could sleep on. I ain't never gonna tell you, nah, you can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, like,
Facts.
what are you talking about? Like, but you also had that, the faith that if you were just humble enough to bring what was in you out, when Shanice came to you in that form and you said, hey, God's telling me I gotta say I'm in need right now. I gotta raise my hand and say I gotta be an active participant. And you help me, and you say, "Hey, I'm fucked up. I'm at the point where I gotta say out loud, be real with myself, and you in front of me. I'm fucked up." And by you saying that, she was just in a position to say, "It's no problem. I can help you. Don't trip. I got you for a little bit." And that made you say, "Oh shit, okay. Well, maybe if I just speak that out loud, I can work that out." And my faith is gonna lead me into the next things that is gonna happen.
Listen, I don't. It does not matter to me where I am in life or when it kicks in or whatever, but Shanice is gonna be good in my book for life. Like I don't like it really like for me, it I mean, I don't know, bro. I could have like mad kids, mad grandkids, hella people in the will, da 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 da. Da. Somewhere in there is gonna have like a Shanice clause. And it's just like she's good.
She's always getting written into the royalty on
She's
the.
she's good because like even the other day I reached out to her, but it's just like yo, you really were like a catalyst. You were an angel in a moment where it was like I didn't believe, like I didn't believe in anything, and it was just like I finally believed. I finally believed in continuing to live. That was where I was. That was my baseline. Let's stay alive. That was my
Let's.
baseline. That's all I had. And then with all that, you were like, I got you.
And Shanice just made you feel like
Done.
it was your value, not your value, but your. She made you say, no, there's still. It's not that time yet. That was like speaking
A
to
hundred
her,
percent.
saying it's not time for that yet.
100%.
Let's just see tomorrow. And at that point,
100%.
I saw a fucking, what's that guy? What they do? Like a Navy SEAL, and he was like, there's a small part on the. I'll send you this video. I know exactly where I have it saved. There's a small part on the shooter. There's a small part on the target, and there's a big part. The small part's worth 10. The big part's worth 1. If you can just focus to the small part and keep shooting on the ones and keep hitting 10s, bam, you're gonna add up and win. You keep trying to get everything out here, it doesn't. So narrow it down to say, what's tomorrow? And you were even at that point when you were saying, okay, if I have the basics, which is food, water, shelter, I'll keep doing it. I'll keep showing up. And when we can't do that anymore, then maybe it's me. But hey, we'll do it tomorrow. And if you brought it all down to a micro, didn't worry about everything else. It was just, can I go to the bunk? Can I go over here in the valley? Can I find this place to stay? I don't care how many people live here. I have a shower time on the wall. That's cool. And I have a place and I'm inside. And I'll figure it out from there. And nothing else matters. Next week doesn't matter. The bigger picture doesn't matter. This debt doesn't matter. The credit cards don't matter. Because if I don't find a place, if I don't get photography to get Del Taco later, to get a taco lady on the side of the street, to get a roof over my head tonight, then tomorrow doesn't matter.
100%.
100%.
100%. And so going through that experience for months, like this wasn't like, for 2 weeks, da da da. This was like maybe for 3-4 months of really doing this. And there was some days where it was like, dog, you didn't get the bookings. And it was slim. I mean, slim. I mean, fucking 7-Eleven pizza slice was like food today. You know what I'm saying? Like ramen bowl was food today. You know what I'm saying? Like all those things, like those experiences. And then, another blessing happens. Alex from Diesel is now managing Dolls Kill. And they were hiring. And I was just like, yo, Alex, if you need somebody, just holler at me. I'm down to work. I get the job at Dolls Kill on Fairfax. And then, boom, one thing led to another. I'm just showing up. And there were times where I was showing up with like my suitcase, like a mini suitcase with my clothes and shit in it. Because it was like, dog, I wasn't able to secure a spot. So people were like, yo, why you got a suitcase? I'm like, yeah, yo, I got a photo shoot. You just got some clothes for the photo shoot. Crazy. You trying to play it off. You don't want, you know what I'm saying? People know, like, yo, I have no idea where I'm sleeping today.
Yeah.
At all. So it was like going through that experience, getting the first check, and then be like, all right, cool. Now I could lay up at this spot for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Boom. And then we can start extending our focus.
Bro, that feeling when you got asked shout out to Ashley. Same thing. Shout out to Ashley. Ashley and her brother owned an Airbnb when I first moved into LA, and I was like one of my first places. And shout out to everybody. That was cool. But they were one of the first people that I went from being like, hey, I book on the app, to being like, how much does Airbnb give you off this? And she told me, and I was like, I'll give you all of what they're charging me if you just let me pay you cash. Every week I'm gonna get a paycheck, they pay me cash. And on Monday, just take the room off Airbnb. And she was like, you're pretty cool, fuck it. And I was like,
that's
yo.
Fire.
Like, that to me was being like, yo, I'm not driving to LA every week being like, well, where do I find, did I get a place that I'm not, like you said, showing up to work with my bags in the car, and shout out to my homie Rick, too. He used to always be like, before I'd leave Sunday night, he'd be like, hey, you got a place yet? I'd be like, yeah. Even if I didn't, same shit. I'd be like,
that's fine.
Oh, yeah, I already booked my shit. But he would always ask, be like, hey, you already got your Airbnb? And I'd be like, same shit, bro. Like, that's shit fire. Feels like, okay, now I can go to the week because I can book it out. I can go a little bit bigger. That shit's a real progression. You can start thinking about, okay, now were you working at Dolls Kill in a retail form still? You were just like, hey, I'm just going.
I got the, listen, bros, again, God, I got the job as a part-time sales associate. Dope. Bottom rung. Dope. All I knew was I need money.
I get a check.
I gotta connect over here. So we gonna make that move. I never heard of Dolls Kill before in my life, before that time period. Never in my life. And then when I saw the store, I was like, hey, yo, dog, I can't do this. But it was like, I need food and I need shelter. So we gonna rock it.
Pride all the way to the side.
Move it. So from there, I became full-time in 2 months. From full-time, I became a supervisor in a month. So in my first 3 months, I went from bottom ladder, top ladder.
Getting a cool little check. You could breathe. You could be like,
I could breathe.
That luxury where you're like, no, I'll take a soda, or I'll take the fries.
I'll Uber home. I don't feel like doing both.
Yeah, no, not just the burger, the fries. Just make it a meal.
I'll do the meal. And then from there, you know what I'm saying? I was working on the marketing for the location. It was really dope. I got a chance to work with a lot of the internal team on different things. I got to work with some of the activations and everything. That was where I first met Alex, the Alex we know, because she was at the Bape joint. So that was dope. And that helped me to increase my scope of what I wanted my experience in LA to be like, right? And so you take that moment and you fast forward it, and it was pandemic time, and everything slowed up in LA. LA shut down. And
now all of LA is trying to figure it out.
You start getting calls for your job like, hey guys, you don't gotta come in for the next few weeks while we try to figure all this out. Don't worry, you guys are still. And then you get another call. Hey guys, so we're gonna be, shutting down some of the roles and positions, just like, blah, blah, blah. And then you hear some people didn't get another call after that, but you lucky you got a call after that. So it was like, it was crazy, bro. But
Bro,
I was like, all right, cool. LA is not hitting right now. I'm out.
you did it.
I'm out. And my mom at the time was living in Houston. So I was like, cool, bet. Let's go to Houston. Let's see what Houston's hitting for. In Houston, I got a job working at an ad agency. It was dope. Shout out to my friend Anissa for hooking me up with that. But got an ad agency and started working at an ad agency. It was dope, great experience. But then ended up getting laid off because of what was going on around the time of, again, the pandemic and uh, around the time of the George Floyd protests. It was like a combination of the two. The account that I was working on was shutting down. So I was like, okay, cool. Gotta do something different. And I was like, let's see what Miami's hitting for. So I headed to Miami. Miami was open season.
At this point, now you're leaving LA, so it's kind of like what you have in your personal tank of integrity.
Oh yeah, I'm
and
different.
your own
I'm
values.
built different.
Yeah, you
After
already
LA,
know
that's why I said LA. It's that moment in Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man, where like the building is crushed on him, and Tony is telling him like, "Yo, if you're not Spider-Man without the suit, you don't deserve the suit." And he like does the push-up with like the rubbles on his back, and he like throws the giant joint off. He's like, "Yo, I'm Spider-Man." In that moment, it was like the same thing. Same thing with like, you know what I'm saying? Iron Man, where it was like, yo, my man had the joint ripped out his chest and he was dying and he had to crawl and get the old one and put it in and fight without the new tech. But with the old tech, you learn something about yourself in that experience. And so from that experience, I was like, yeah, nah, I'm different, dog. Y'all can take everything from me. I know how to go from literal nothing and work my way from literally nothing. No money, no car, no connects, no, like, I don't know where my next whatever is coming from. I worked from that to making moves. So, okay, cool. I can do that wherever. Jay-Z has a line. He said, put me anywhere. He said, put me anywhere on God's green earth, I'll triple my worth. I really believe that. Like, especially after these experiences, it's a wrap, bro. You put me anywhere. I don't care. I'm nice.
LA is really gladiator school. Like, you're gonna have to figure it out because whatever crumbs that it's not like nothing's given to you. So once you go and take it, you're like, all right, I could go and come up with something because I figured it out to stay. What got me to stay in a hostel style Airbnb? That I could do that tomorrow and not even have a full 1-bedroom apartment in some of these other cities. So let me figure it out. It's not the end of the world. And so that
100%.
took you to Miami, and were you still thinking like I'm gonna do photography, or were you like let me build connections in the retail world?
Photography
And branding.
Photography is constant. Photography is always constant. I have really big visions and goals for photography, but but I'm also blessed to be dating somebody who is also a photographer, and her work is brilliant, and she in a lot of ways challenges me on that front because I don't want to say it comes so natural for her, but it's something that she's always done since high school. So by this time, she's put in her 10,000 hours plus.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I've navigated other things to get to this point. So whenever I get distracted, I have somebody to remind me, like, nah, son, you still got to do this. Like, nah, yo, you still got to do this.
You
like,
can't shortcut the experience.
100%. She reminds me, yo, you can't shortcut this. You can't shortcut this. And it's like, I need that sometimes, especially in that area of photography, because in other areas, I've moved so quickly. like relationship building, because I did that for damn near 20 years plus. It's like this to me. It's like breathing. It's like water. So I could get
Facts.
so caught up in that that I forget, like, nah, but we're still, let's say, beginner stages, intermediate stages, et cetera, in this lifelong journey of being a photographer and executing some of these visions and goals. So I've been building a lot of relationships out here in Miami. Uh, this this summer will make year two,
Okay.
and photography has been blooming beautifully. Real grateful.
How has that been going hand in hand with photography as well as your entry into the Web3 space? And I know we talked a little bit about it earlier, but how did that go with photography where you're like, oh shit, okay, like, having a way to verify and own my art moving forward is intriguing. How did that all like tie it together with that and strong brand? But you worked at strong brands. Diesel is a strong
100%.
brand with an identity. Dolls Kill is a strong brand with an identity within that culture.
Excuse me.
Bless you. No, but when you did go into branding with photography once in Web3, how did that all kind of correlate?
Excuse
Bless you
me.
again.
I think for me, what I realized was once I understood the technology, I realized how it can be applied. So when you look at a lot of artists in general today, they struggle with the business aspect of things. And a lot of the struggle with the business, excuse
Bless you
me,
again.
a
Trying to take
lot of
you
the
out. You're
struggle with
dropping
the
too much game.
business, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of the struggle with the business comes because there's so much happening at once. So usually where you would normally have time to acclimate to new markets, new cycles, the way that things are being developed or innovated is happening maybe 10 times as fast, 100 times as fast. So what worked, let's say on Instagram in January, once an algorithm shift happens, it no longer works. You now need to do something different. Well, that's a lot to keep up with if your focus is on, let's say, getting your 10,000 hours, or if your focus is on, let's say, improving your artwork and refining your craft. So I was like, okay, what's going to be the overarching, what we call a Web3 meta? What's going to be the overarching theme or the overarching technological advancement? Oh, the blockchain. Why is that going to be an overarching thing? Well, the blockchain now allows for people to make money in ways that they couldn't make money before. So that's one. Two, for an artist, it allows you to actually, I would say, reap higher rewards from the communities that you built and from the art that you create. And so when you combine those two things, it was like, okay, I'm going to invest my time and energy into that. So now, instead of just releasing a print just for the sake of somebody buying a print, I can go ahead and release this as an NFT. And because I'm releasing it as an NFT, I have the ability to allow for a digital representation of it, and then also have a threshold where if it gets up to, let's say, a certain value, that person can get a fine art version of it as well. And so now the dynamic feels different. And I'm able to speak to a different purchasing power than traditional streams of, let's say, revenue for artists.
Absolutely. That's that's one of the most I think dynamic ways the space is growing is that it's like, oh wait, it's not just a PFP or a
Facts.
JPEG that you're gonna own, or it's actually gonna be something that is because you believe in a community, or you believe in a project, or you believe in what the project's trying to do with your funds, and this is simply a card to show that you participated. Like, this is just a
Yo, there's
participation
a
token.
photographer. His name is Drift Shoots. He climbs to the top of buildings and bridges, and he'll take a photo from on top of the bridge or on top of the building. No bullshit. Like, I mean, like skyscrapers, not like, apartment buildings and shit. I'm talking
Okay,
like
yeah,
Empire
yeah,
State Building. This guy's
type
like
shit.
on the top, right?
Yeah,
And he'll show you like on video, like, yo, we out here, cool. and he'll take a picture and he'll put that picture up as an NFT, right? So people are able to bid like, I want to own that photograph. His photographs, I've seen them for like 69 ETH.
God damn.
So for the everyday person, that's close to like 80,000, if not more. And these are digital representations of the photograph. So a person, one of the people who collected or who, won one of the auctions and one of the bids, they actually got it printed into like a large format print and framed, and they have it in their office. And I remember seeing it, and I realized in that moment just how much the technology broke the mold. Like, he didn't have to have a benefactor, he didn't have to have an agency, he didn't have to have all these different. He didn't have to be in a gallery first. He didn't have to do all these different things. All he had to do was be true to his art, put it out there, attract who it attracts, and then make it available for them to own it.
And do
That's it.
something unique, do something original and unique.
100%. And you get to see the story with it because he was able to develop a community through it, through content. So there's a lot of people, for example, who are artists who have great communities, but struggle in leveraging the impact of that community because they don't know how to use the technology that's available today to do so. Like, for example, I know of, and I'll give two examples. I know of a photographer who has a dope style. I mean, a dope ass style. And they work with some amazing celebrities. And they very well could put up a photograph of a portrait they've taken of a very specific celebrity and have that minted. And that thing will go absolutely through the roof. Absolutely through the roof. And it would literally, from that point forward, change the way that that photographer is received in the space. Because the moment, think about it from now, business standpoint and brand standpoint, the moment somebody mints or purchases your artwork for $80,000, $60,000, even $50,000, your price is different. Moving forward, the type of business you do, the type of deals you do is completely different moving forward, right? I also know of a person who is an adult content creator, right? But they do more like artistic nudes,
Okay.
right? And like photography.
Yeah, like boudoir shoots or stuff like that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I was like, wait a second. I know of a photographer who literally shoots models in this style, and she releases like a collection of it to be minted so people can own those photographs. And she's making like, 1 ETH, 2 ETH on these. And it's like, okay, sure, that's not $80,000, but that's like $3,000.
Yeah.
If you were to post that on Instagram, you may get 3,000 likes.
But that's not $3,000.
You see what I'm saying? There's no value add to your actual business or your actual brand or your actual livelihood. There's no way that's now created where the community who's supporting you can have involvement in your success. Because let's say, for example, I was the one to buy the Drift Shoots painting for 80 ETH, right? If he releases another edition, and then let's say the MoMA carries one of his paintings, the value of that just goes through the roof. So now I can put it back. I can put it back out there for 200 ETH. And I didn't have to, in traditional sense, I didn't have to take the cost of that. I didn't have to now demount it, reframe it, package it, create it, ship that on to somebody. Nope. Boom, send it off. Now that photo digital representation is yours.
I think big in that space too is like, say back to drift shoots, like say you took, say I see that and go, that's a cool picture, for what it's worth. That's a cool picture. Mm-hmm. His community says the risk he took to climb up that
100%.
I appreciate, and as someone who appreciates the the art of what he did as just a pure daredevil to climb that bridge, to be on the Golden State Bridge and take a picture back of the city. I'm not going to do it. I have excess income because I'm in a different situation. I want that picture, and that's the only one. The only way you're going to get that is
100%.
by him climbing up there and taking that picture for you. What would I pay him for it? Might not be what I would pay him for it, but now his art is respected by someone that values it at its utmost highest. And he's setting the market for that, you know?
And look how that breaks the mold. Look how that breaks the mold, because the way that things are done traditionally, it's, no, you need to reach 1 million people. And then out of the 1 million people, you need to hope that 10% or 1% actually wants to get your product. And then 1 to 10%, you may have 1 to 10% of those that may be a repeat customer. And that's what you need to go after. Whereas with this model, it's like, I don't need to get 1 million people. I just need to get the people who care about what I do. And once I get the people who care about what I do, we can create a symbiotic relationship that's now multifaceted. And the benefit isn't just on my end. Now the benefit is on your end too, because you hold a piece of my artwork. This is my journey. So if you buy into my journey, it's like, imagine if when LeBron James was a freshman, right? And LeBron dropped, let's say, a 23 NFT. And in that 23 NFT, it was like, yo, you get access to my career as a ball player. And so, you know, maybe it's like, you know, you get to see some of my workouts, blah, 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 whatever it is, whatever you get access to as that community.
Yeah.
By the time LeBron gets to the Heat, that NFT is different.
100%.
The value is different. Hate it or love it, the
100%.
value is different. After he wins his first championship, the value is different. And so now, if you're a LeBron fan, you're more willing to invest your time and energy into supporting LeBron James, because
you're
you
gonna
know
go buy tickets,
that
you're gonna go buy merch, you're gonna go buy, you're gonna watch on TV,
100%,
because you're at some level contributing to a brand that you're building into.
100%, and that you get real tangible, and that's the key part of it. You get a tangible kickback. So if, let's say, when LeBron does go to Miami, a lot of people wasn't happy, right? So let's say, okay, cool, I'm selling it, I'm done. Okay, well, by the time he goes to Miami, that thing more than likely double, triple, quadrupled in price. You good. And you may have some people who scoop it up when he's in Miami. Okay, so then he goes on a run. He goes in with Dwayne Wade, and it's like, damn, son, that's crazy. And then he announces he's going back to Cleveland. Boom, imagine all those people buy him back when it's at a new floor. Okay, he does the championship in Cleveland. That thing skyrockets. Then he's going to LA. Laker fans want something. Like, that's a completely different dynamic than what we're used to, because it's empowering both the individual and the community and fan base that they have at the same time. And so that's where I see the combination.
And showing your level of belief in the product.
Yep.
You're like, I believe
100%.
in that because I want to put something behind it. I believe
100%.
that LeBron is going to be Jordan. So I don't care what's happening here. Over time, I'm going to see my return in value because his stock is going to skyrocket.
100%.
You know? And one thing you said earlier, too, about not, the taking down that, I think it was, oh man, I'm a stoner. I fucked up homie's name. It was Drift Shoots. Drift Shoots. Like, imagine you took that down. Now it's up to 800,000. You're like, oh shit, I have almost $1 million painting. I'm gonna go sell it at Sotheby's. I'm gonna have them auction it off. I'm gonna take my 30% back. Cool. Later. See you guys. It's out of here. Drift Shoots is like, yo, I climbed a building and this guy bought it for 80 G's and now it's gone and it's over. Whereas the one cool thing I think about blockchain in the future is that, like, okay, it sold again and he's still going to get his residuals.
100%.
And the artist is still going to, no matter, because it's written into the code, so that as it changes hands, he's still like, oh shit, like, that's cool because you believed in me early and now I'm back up here and you're repaying me for what I did early.
100%.
And I still get to eat off that. Excuse me.
100%.
I think that's one of the most revolutionary things when you see people give up their masters or sell their art or sell their business or sell their idea to get funding. Or it's like, when this changes hands 2 more times, I'm out the deal. And the blockchain's ensuring that those people don't get cut out and there's still a commission, and you know, it's
I
the
love
right
that.
people eat.
I love that. And for me, that's where my life kind of revolves around now. Is like, okay, I have a firm grasp of this technology, and I myself have the skills and services to pair with it. Okay, so we're gonna build through this. We're gonna develop an ecosystem starting here in Miami, where we're gonna onboard a few different artists, right, who are local, and we're gonna introduce this technology, and we're gonna build this ecosystem, and then from there we're gonna leverage it, and then as we leverage it, we're gonna go into different environments, right, where it could be back in LA, going to Atlanta, et cetera, and doing the same process. And slowly but surely, but also over time, what you'll see is that this new way of doing business as an artist completely opens the door and allows for, I think, greater degrees of not just collaboration, but also creation and greater impact with the things that are being created. And I'm confident in the ability for the best examples of different art forms rising to the occasion when they have the resources behind them to do so.
Absolutely, absolutely. That high, that what's that saying? High tides raise all the ships. You
Yep,
know, like if the funding is there, and that's not what we're worried about. We're just worried about creating. The quality of the creation is gonna be on the forefront of where can your mind really go.
100%.
How did that work with? How did that idea and mindset work with pairing some of your projects this past Art Basel?
You know, this past Art Basel, it wasn't so much about integrating Web3 with my own stuff as much as this past Art Basel was a lot more about me getting better acquainted with what the market was looking for. So I spent more time going to different events, meeting people. I spent more time looking at how people were showing up for Art Basel, what brands were coming to Art Basel. I was able to do a really dope article for Adweek about the different brands that showed up to Art Basel and why. Like, why those brands are now more competitive and in better positions than the ones that didn't. Um, and then even looking at what Web3 brands came and showed up to Art Basel. I was really in more of a research approach and mindset than a creation mindset. Because I think there's a lot of transitioning happening in a lot of industries. And if you don't take time to pay attention to that, you may miss opportunities or even miss the reasons behind things, because a lot of it isn't in your face. A lot of
No,
it is like, yo, you have to be here to see that.
100%, 100%. What you said. A lot of it's not in your face. It's not. It's not right. You can't read about it or see the update on Instagram. It's you have to see it in real time. And now it's like, I think to tie in even what we talked about earlier with relationship, I might not code, I might not be on the pad drawing. I might not be like, oh, I'm not an animator. I'm not building this in an art sense.
Hmm.
But the relationship of, oh, I could find you the utility that makes sense because I know about promoting. I know about finding brands with ideals that align. So then you might not
Hmm.
be in the tech space, but you're like, oh, I've been building relationships in this industry or where I come from for the last 10 years. Like, it's don't look at it as just like, oh, I don't know, it's in the phone, I don't understand it, or
A
it could be,
hundred percent.
it's like, oh, if I could just pair this NFT collection with a chain of restaurants that would be greatly impacted by having this collection on doing the art through all of their locations, I could get you paid on it. Oh shit, now it changes. Now people want to go to that restaurant because, oh, it has all of the happy cats in it, and this restaurant is part of the community I support, and I like the artist who does these. So I go to all of these cafes because they have happy cats in them. And now I'm on that money circulating inside the group of
100%.
happy cat people. And now you just inserted yourself by not having a restaurant, not making the NFT, but finding the NFT that was like, oh, your art matches the theme of this restaurant. I could make that connection.
100%.
And now you're seeing your little 2% every time that the deal goes down. You're like, oh, thanks.
100%.
Dude, it's so huge. Like the opportunities are endless, and it's not about selling a thing and flipping it. It's like, man,
It's
McDonald's
value added. Everything is
McDonald's
like
isn't backing
value
out of
added.
NFTs. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't like, hey, we shouldn't do this.
Everything is turned into a value add. Like how does this add value? How can I add value? And I think that's the most, important thing is like if I want anybody to take away anything from I guess this podcast is if you experience enough life, if you live enough life, you'll learn more about yourself. And if you allow yourself the freedom and room to learn really like who you are and what's important to you, you'll be able to discover what unique value you show up with in every room that you're in. And then life becomes easier. The moment you understand the value that you bring to the table, not so much externally, but from internal, like you as a person, as an individual, then it becomes easier to identify what rooms you should be in versus what rooms you don't belong in, where you need to apply yourself, where it's a waste of time that you're applying yourself. That experience is extremely valuable. I've adopted such a whistle while you work mentality where it's like, yo, I actually enjoy the journey. I'll never forget, I was listening to a podcast and this guy, he said, the person who enjoys walking will get further than the guy who wants to get to the destination.
Yeah.
And I was like, done, applying it. So I enjoy walking.
I don't know where I'm
walking.
going. I'm just out here going. Of course I'm gonna go further. I don't have a place I'm trying to get to.
100%. I enjoy walking, and so because of that, I know I'm gonna go for it.
That's incredible, bro. That's I think a lot of people miss that point that I just enjoy the work. The work of it is what will eventually I'll see the results later, And again, in micro and macro, I think your faith in yourself, I think your faith in that at the end of the day God got me. I think that all of that ties together when it comes to the fact that you didn't want to that at one point you really felt like giving up on you.
Facts.
On just you as you. And to now at this point, you're, like you said, if you live enough life, you'll see that it all is going to be okay. And it would be so unfortunate to not have lived enough life to see that.
Yo, I'll say this, and my phone is literally on 1%, so if it shuts off,
Okay, let's go.
I apologize. But I'll tell you this, one of the things really one thing I'm really passionate about is showing gratitude for the smallest things. Like when I wake up in the morning, and also rest in peace, Hovain, because Hovain used to say this a lot. And I remember
Absolutely.
the week, not even the week, it was like maybe a day before it was announced that he passed, or 2 days before. No, it was the day after Takeoff's death.
Okay.
And he was like, yo, when you wake up in the morning, thank God. And I feel like my phone's about to die right now, so it's literally might be the last thing I say. But he was like, when you wake up in the morning, thank God. And I remember I asked him, I was like, yo, I feel like, especially because of what happened with Takeoff, that's a really important message to get out today. And he replied back and he was like, yo, I couldn't have said it better myself. And I really mean that because, like, we are blessed to literally have life. Like, that period, like, life. You are alive today. Every opportunity you could ever want starts with the fact that you're alive to even see it. And so that's something that I've adopted for myself. It's like when I wake up in the morning, I thank God for life. Like, I'm alive. I'm able to breathe. I'm able to think rational
It's
thoughts.
not a
My
given.
legs work. You see what I'm saying? Like, yo,
Yeah.
my body is healthy. My mind is healthy. I know who I am. I'm grateful. And then from there, everything else Feels like a
Oh, we died there, but everything else does feel like a blessing, Kenyatta. I know what you were saying right there. Yo, we're going to have all of Kenyatta's socials and his links right here. Also, we're going to have a part 2 because there's more we didn't even get into. Thanks for fucking with the Downstem. Kennyatta Collins. Follow him, like all that stuff. We out.